Good morning, everyone. Thanks very much for making the time to join us here today. We're going to be covering a demonstration of Oracle NetSuite in the context of how we face some of the challenges that the agribusiness companies are facing in today's market and how whole of business applications like Oracle NetSuite can help navigate some of those challenges. So today we're really focusing on information and the ability to ensure that you can capture and utilize that information that you generate just by operating a business on a day-to-day basis, consolidating it and surfacing the data in a timely manner to ensure that you've got information that you need to confidently make decisions that affect the trajectory of your operations and ultimately improve your profitability and viability. So just in context for that, as we go through the demo today, just be thinking about how capturing all this information may differ from the processes you use today and how that might be helpful for you moving forward. Today, who may not be familiar with Fusion 5, we'll quickly cover a brief little introduction as to who we are. And then we'll take you through an overview of the demo of the NetSuite solution and just open up the floor to any questions that might arise as a result of anything that we show you here today. So who are Fusion 5? Well, we're a business applications team, a professional services and a managed services organization spanning Australia and New Zealand across 9 offices. We've got over 750 employees now, servicing over 1,200 customers with the business apps that we partner with in the ANZ region. And we partner with many major players in the business application space, such as Oracle, Microsoft, IBM, Workday, Blackline, ServiceNow, and heaps more. So today we cover more about one of our larger partnerships, and that's with Oracle NetSuite. We partner with over 350 businesses in the Australia and New Zealand region utilizing NetSuite to run their business operations, and those customers have operations globally in almost every country in the world as well. This makes us actually one of the largest NetSuite partners in the world. Actually, we're the largest in the JPAC region and we're 3rd largest globally. We're very passionate about NetSuite and the value that it brings to our clients, and we're very excited today to showcase some of the capabilities to you. So without any further ado, I know I don't want to kill everybody with PowerPoint slides today. I'd love to hand over to Rebecca Paul now to take you through our NetSuite demo. So Rebecca, just handing over to you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Joel.
Just hand control over to you.
Fantastic. I'm just going to turn my camera off while I demonstrate. But look, thank you for that introduction, Joel. Just before I get into the demo, just a little bit about myself. I am a solution architect here at Fusion 5. I have been in the NetSuite world for about 13 years, and I started my NetSuite journey on your side of the fence, where the company I was working for was evaluating an ERP, and we chose NetSuite. So I spent a few years getting to know NetSuite as a product from an operations perspective. Loved the product so much that I decided to join the partner world and have been in the partner world for over 10 years now, helping businesses like yourselves look at how they can use NetSuite to grow and expand their business. So without further ado, as Joel mentioned, today we're going to give a run through and an overview of NetSuite and how this might be applicable to your business. So I'm logged in here into NetSuite. NetSuite is an online platform. There is no offline capability, but you can use NetSuite on any device that can access the internet browser. Everyone who has access to NetSuite will have at least one role. Your role governs your permissions, what you can access in the system, and how you navigate around the system. But what it also does is it also gives you a dashboard. And the dashboard, which is what you can see here, is designed to give you a snapshot of your business. It displays the key things that you need to know to effectively do your job and the things that you need to be aware of. I'm going to start out by running through a couple of the little portlets to give you an idea of some of the things that you can display on your main dashboard. The first portlet that I'm going to run through is the reminders portlet. It's probably one of the most commonly used and favored portlets, and that's the reminders portlet. Your reminders portlet works like your to-do list. It shows you the things that you need to do as part of your job but maybe some of the other things that you need to be aware of. Might not necessarily need to do, but just be aware of. And so behind each one of these reminders is a saved search. You can, when you get NetSuite, it comes with about 120 sort of standard reminders. You can take those, add them, add different criteria to them to create your own or create brand new ones out of the box. I'm showing a standard reminder out of the box here for invoices overdue. I can see here that I've got 121 overdue. I've put a little simple filter over that, and now I'm only showing here in the next line invoices that are overdue, over 30 days, and over $50,000. So you can really add very simple criteria to really show the information that you want to see. Everything here is drillable and clickable, so you can click through and drill through into the information that you want to see. So I've clicked through into overdue invoices. I can see in this list here a list of all of the open overdue invoices in the date range that I've set in my search. So I can see all of the customers' invoices, what the due dates were and how much is due. I can continue to click through into the transaction, so I can actually go directly into that transaction. I could also come down here and customize the search. So I show different criteria. I might want to see days overdue. I might want to see notes about the overdue invoice or any communication that's been had with this client. I could simply customize this search and add those different criteria. I've clicked through into one of the invoices, so now I can see the invoice record, all of the information regarding that invoice. Once I've finished, I can simply click out and I'm back to my, my main screen. So wherever you are in the system, you can drill down from your dashboard and then just simply go back to your home screen. The next portlet that we're looking at here is the key performance indicators. And again, like the reminders portlet, they're built on searches of different information. So there are standard searches that come out of the box, but you can also create your own KPIs that you might want to track. We're also looking at these key performance indicators by different comparison periods. So for example, our sales, I'm looking at our sales by month versus the same month last financial quarter to date. The receivables is simply this month versus last month. Again, everything down here is clickable and drillable, and I've highlighted a couple of those to show up here as a percentage change compared to my comparison periods. So it really draws me to that information. Something else that we can do next to all of these is we can click on our trend graph. And what the trend graph does is it allows us to see trends of information very quickly. I can look at that monthly, I could look at that yearly. I might also want to look at the information weekly. I can come through and look at that in different ways, maybe as a bar graph, or again, very quickly, I can compare how we've gone this year versus last year. Without having to run lots of different reports, I can see that information right from my home dashboard. I can also take an image, download this, put it into a report that I might be using. And again, once I've finished, I could just click out of it. I could also export that report to analyze it further. The next little report that we've got here is a scorecard. And what the scorecard is designed to do is it's designed to give you a snapshot into a specific area of business. And in this case, I'm looking at the sales operations. So I can see some indicators that I've got down here that are relevant that I want to see, such as sales, number of new orders, average deal size, and then I've selected some dates that I want to track. So it really gives you a snapshot into key areas across a time period. And there are lots of standard ones that come out of the box. to track different operations. It might be warehouse operations, it might be key financial information, it might be inventory information. And so each one of those is applicable for different roles and different people within your business. The next area that we can see here is looking at graphs. So again, you can graph different information. You can look at, for example, top selling items, sales trends, any other kind of information, we can pull that into a different graph. It's just really about showing information in a different light. As I'm logged in as the administrator, I have access to the entire system. So my dashboard is showing an overview of the entire business. If we go over and have a look at a different role that I have in my demo account, we can see how the dashboards are tailored around a more specific role of a business. So down here, I can see all the roles that I have access to in this demo account, and I'm going to come down to a financial controller, someone who's interested in the financial aspect of the business. So we can see here that the reminders are all about transactions that need to be approved, periods that need to be closed, bills that need to be paid, everything that is key to someone in the finance area to perform their role. I've also at the top of my screen got some click links to some areas that we're looking at all the time, such as the balance sheet, the trial balance, income statement, budget versus actual reports. I can also see down the side some key performance indicator meters. And so really this is showing us how we're performing against a target that we might have. So obviously when this is green, it shows that we've met our target. When we're orange, we're getting close to our target. We can also see the key performance indicators are all financially driven. They're all things that you would want to see as a financial controller. Our scorecard is showing us financial metrics that we want to see. We're looking at some incoming and outgoing cash and some monthly sales trends with some moving averages. So really it's about displaying information in a way that makes sense for the role and the user. If we go and have a look at a different role, we come through down to our sales manager role. We'll be able to see that the information here is really tailored towards what a sales manager would see. It's all about invoices, sales orders, opportunities, all of the metrics that a salesperson would want to track. They're looking at comparative sales, sales rep quotas. So you might have a sales team, what those quotas will look like, how your sales team is performing individually, but also on a whole. And we're looking at all sorts of different trend graphs. Lastly, if we move through to a warehouse manager, obviously their role is going to be looking at both inventory and stock and outgoing orders. So we've got quick links to things that they're going to want to see from a warehouse manager perspective. We're looking at some inventory trend graphs, number of monthly orders, so we can see how those orders are tracking and where we're ramping up. We can also see a warehouse operations scorecard. So again, really specific indicators that this, the manager would want to see and how those are performing across a selected time period. We can also see a summary of how many shipments we're getting out on time, so a little mini DIFOT report, and what our shipping costs are for each month. So again, summarized information and displayed in a really meaningful way. All of these dashboards that we've kind of gone through and had a look at have got a lot of information. We might have roles within the business that aren't requiring all of that information, and one of them might be a warehouse operator. So if we have a look at this dashboard, it's very pared back, and we're only showing simple things that the warehouse operators will need to see. What do they have to do? They have some items that they need to order. They have some 20 orders that they need to get out the door. They have goods that are sitting there ready to go, so they need to get those orders out the door. So what are the things that are really key to them? And then some quick links to some quick transactions. So they're not having to use the menu bar at the top of the page. It's just nice and simple so they can easily transact. Okay, so now that we've covered our dashboards, we're going to move through and have a look at some inventory and creating and bringing in some inventory into this business. Before I do, I just want to show you one other part of NetSuite that's really great, and that is the global search. And the global search works a lot like Google search, and that it searches your entire database, and it searches field records. So any customers, it searches for suppliers, contacts, and also transactions. So you might put in a sales order reference. It's going to bring up all of those transactions that are linked to that sales reference. It can look for items. So it's a really nice, quick way of accessing and searching your database. So for example, if I typed in BLA and I'm looking for a specific customer, I can see here that it's brought up some customers, a contact, a couple of different pages of transactions, some bank details, a vendor, and a whole lot more information. I can narrow that down. Every record has a prefix, and it's the first two letters of every record. So if I was looking for a customer, I would put in the prefix of CU, and it's going to bring back all of my customers that have got BLA somewhere in their name. And it doesn't have to be at the beginning of their name. So for example, if I was typing in DRA, it's still going to bring up the same two customers because it's recognized that DRA is part of their name. So again, really nice, quick, easy way to search your database. Okay, so in this scenario for our demo account, I am a grower of grains, and so I have a farm, but my main part of the business is actually supplying those grains out to businesses. And so what we're going to do is we're going to bring in some inventory from one of our farms. We've just gone through and harvested some product. So I have two locations in my environment. I have my Potter Farm, and then I have our Potter Farm packing store. And I have two products. I've got grain A and grain B. And I've just gone through and done a harvest. And what I want to do is I want to bring those into our packing store. So I'm doing an inventory transfer. With our inventory transfer, I've selected that we've got 2,500 kilograms of grain A and 6,000 kilograms of grain B. With our transfer order, we've got two different records associated to this record. We've got an item fulfillment where we've sent the goods from the farm, and we've got an item receipt where they have been receipted into our packing store. So firstly, if we have a look at our item fulfillment, we can see here that we've got a fulfillment. It was created from our transfer order, and we've got grain A and grain B. Under our inventory detail, this is where I start to create our batch numbers. So I've created some lot tracked inventory with batch numbers. So from the grains that we've received, I've said that we've received 3 batches. Now those 3 batches are actually associated to specific paddocks in my farm, paddock A1, A2 and A3. I've said that all the goods leaving are in good condition, so all of my kilograms are all in good condition, and we've got an expiry date. And so each batch, I've got a quantity that's been received. And in the same case for my grain B, we've got a lot more product, so we've got a lot more serial numbers from a lot more paddocks. But we're tracking what's coming in. So this is what we have sent through to our packing store. So then if we go and have a look at what is receipted, we'll see that the record looks very similar. Again, it was created from our transfer and it's linked to our item fulfillment. So here, if I click on our inventory detail, when we've gone through, we've tracked all the goods that we've received, but actually we've noticed as we've received in one of those batches that 200 kilograms of it was bad. So you can have different statuses as you're receiving in your goods. You might have a status of needing quarantine or different statuses that you have, and you can mark those different statuses whether they're available to be sold or not. So I've indicated that 200 kilograms in this batch is bad and needs to be quarantined. And we can have a look at the same with our grain B. We can also note here that we've got some lines that need to be quarantined. So we've bought these goods in stock, but we've got 2 lots that are quarantined. So now let's go and have a look at our inventory items. As I mentioned, everything is drillable. So we can see here I'm now at my item record. I've created these items as lot numbered inventory. So it means that everything I do, I need to create a batch number. And so every record and transaction I add grain A to, I'm going to need to indicate what batch I'm referring to. So we can record different types of units of measure. So in this case, everything I'm talking about is in kilograms, but you can have different units of measure. So I might want to sell this in grams, for example, or pallets or boxes of each. So we can have conversions built into the background. We're recording all sorts of other information about the item. But if we come down here, we can see that we've got 2 locations. We've got the Potter Farm and we've also got the packing store. So I've currently got 2,000 units on hand. And if I scroll over here, I can see a quantity that I've got available and if I've got any committed or ordered with a supplier. So we can see that there's a discrepancy of 200 between what's available and what's on hand, and that will be due to the 200 that I've got in quarantine. So if I come and have a look at our inventory detail, I can see the bin numbers where this product is located, and I can have a look and I can see my quarantine bin. I've got 200 kilograms of this specific batch. So I can see that that's where the discrepancy has come from. And in my inventory status, I can see that I've got 200 bad and summed up as 1,800 that is good to be sold. One of the other tabs here is our sales and pricing. So we can set up sales prices for our customers. And so we've got a base price here of $35 per kilo, and then I've got some different price levels. I've got a discount of 10%, which is automatically going to calculate off my base price, a new customers of 5%, and our VIP price less 20%. And so you can assign those price levels to customers, and the moment you create a transaction, the price is automatically going to pull through. So now that we have gone through and had a look at our items, we've created some stock, we need to actually create some sales orders to get that stock out. Before I do, I'm just going to take a pause here and ask Joel, are there any questions on anything we've covered so far?
I think we're going to leave most of the questions to the end as per Hannah's note, so there's nothing that's through us yet to cover.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks.
So now what we need to do is we're going to sell some of the stock that we've got on hand to our customers. So using my global search, I'm going to bring up my sales order. So I've got a sales order of sales order 559. And I'm going to go into my sales order record for my customer Canes Grains. So we can see here that I've created a transaction already. We're pulling it from our location of the picking store. This transaction has been associated to a sales rep of Will. Everything that you see on any of these screens can be customized. We can add other fields where you might want to capture data. We can hide different fields. We can rearrange the screens to show information that you need to see. And also, as you're inputting this information, we can mark fields as mandatory. So we have to capture information in different fields before we can save that record. So we can see here that this particular customer has ordered our 2 items. We can show what we've got on hand, what we've got available. But in this case, the customer has ordered 500 kilograms of grain A and 800 kilograms of grain B. Because I've processed this transaction, we can also see here what we've picked, packed, fulfilled, invoiced, and if there was any on back order. We can see that this customer is price level with a 10% discount, so that price is automatically pulled through. And we're tracking all sorts of other information that will be pulled through into our reporting. So when we go and have a look at our sales order, I can see again that I've got 2 different transactions. I've got an item fulfillment to get the goods out the door, and I've also got an invoice. So if we look at our item fulfillment record, I can see that we've got grain A. When I look at the inventory, I can see the lot number that we supplied that customer, what bin it came out of. It was obviously a good status, the expiration date, and that all 500 kilograms came from that lot. So this is part of our batch tracking. That will always be there now, and we can always pull back into the customer to see what they were supplied, what batch that customer received, and on what transaction. We can also see a shipping tab, so any of the shipping information, what their, in this case, this customer receives freight-free shipping, so they don't have any shipping costs. We can see the packages that were supplied to this customer and the tracking numbers for each of those, and the products and kilograms that went into each of those boxes. The other thing with NetSuite is we can track email. So we can email directly out of NetSuite, and also the replies that come back in can also be attached up to the record. So for example, we can see here that the system has sent out an email to the customer with the tracking information. So when the item was fulfilled, and an email automatically went out to the customer with that tracking information. And this is the case for every record. You can email the customer, and there will always be a copy of that against both the transaction and the customer. So that was our item fulfillment. We can also come through now and have a look that we have invoiced this customer. Again, all of the same information that we can see. Under our communication, we'll also see that we have we've emailed the customer a copy of that invoice. And in this case, the customer is paid. So our related records, we can show the payment that's been received. So there is a link between every single transaction that you're creating in the system. So it's easy to go from one transaction to the other. So I'm in my invoice record, and I can see it was created from my sales order, and I can simply go back to that. So now that we've created our sales order and invoiced our customer, we can go in and have a look at our customer record. So we've got our customer Canes Grains, and again, we can create custom fields to track information that might be specific that you want to track for your customers. We can hide information, change the layout of these screens. It's very adaptable. So we can see all the key information of this customer. We've got different categories that our customers belong to. We can add comments and notes for people to see. We can see here a list of all of the transactions that our customer has done, all the invoices, sales orders, payments. Again, I can customize this view so I could see different information. We can also see a list of all of the items that this customer has ever purchased for the life of NetSuite. So it's summed up into a quantity, total price, and average price that they've purchased. We can see the sales teams and any other opportunities or upsell opportunities that the customer might have. And under our financial tab, we can see the currency, the payment terms, and most importantly, what their price level or their discounting is. We can also see information regarding their invoices, what their overdue balance is. And in this case, they've got over $90,000 in the over 90 days section. The next tab that I want to talk about is the communication tab. So as I mentioned in our transactions, we can email. I can see a view of all of those emails, not only in the transaction, but also rolled up into the customer record. So all of those emails that we've sent out, I can see those here. And if my customer had replied, I would also see all of those emails sitting here. So it's capturing all of that communication. The 360 tab is a really great view of the customer. It gives you, as it mentioned, a 360-degree view of the customer record. I can see the number of orders that the customer has received between a date period that I've selected, how many fulfillments, invoices, returns, a snapshot of their last year's sales, sales to date figures. We can also see all of the open invoices or credits that they have open, what their 12 months of sales looks like. So really key that we can analyze and start to get patterns and trends with our customer, and we can see that they haven't purchased anything in the last 6 months. So that might be something that we need to look into. Any returned items, what those returns look like, and also what the items that they're returning. So really giving you a snapshot of the customer record. As well as the customer record and the home dashboard, every customer also has a dashboard. And the customer dashboard, we've got all the key information to do with the customer, but we also have key metrics or key performance indicators. So we can look at sales maybe this month versus last month, what the forecast is, unbilled orders, average days to pay, all of that key information that's important for sales reps, or when you're going in to have those meetings. All of that information is at your fingertips without having to run multiple reports. We can see their top selling items and a list of all transactions or activities with that customer. And then again, now that we've had those transactions, we can simply go back to the home screen, and we're right where we started. I'm going to close off some of those tabs. The next key area of our business is tracking some of that machinery and assets that you have as part of your business, so your fixed assets. So NetSuite has the ability to track fixed assets, and so we're going to go and have a look at some assets that we have. Again, on my dashboard, it's all tailored around information that you would want to see if you are managing those assets. So my reminders, I can see that I have 4 inspections due and some assets that have got an insurance due. So I can open up my screen and I've got a list here, and I've created this list. Anything highlighted in bold and red means that those inspections are overdue. So you can create highlighting rules to alert you to specific bits of information that you need to be aware of or that you need to do. So we can come in and have a look at one of our items. So in this case, we've got a sprayer. I can see all the key information. I can see the serial number. I can see this transaction, so the supplier bill that this asset came in on. I can see all of our current cost and depreciation information, where this item is held, all of that key information. But what we can also do is track all of our insurance and maintenance details. So in this case that we've got some inspections due, we inspect this item every 12 months. It was last inspected on the 13th of August last year, so its inspection is due now. We can also track warranty periods, warranty information, and any other information around that maintenance. We can also track insurance. So if we've got any insurance policies, we can also record all of that information. So the fixed assets is a really great module if you're wanting to track that machinery. We go back out to our dashboard. I can see a list of all of our assets. So I've put little images next to those to help identify them. You can also track assets against individual employees. So if you have employees who have assets assigned to them, you can track all of that as well. And along with the fixed assets, we also have lots of reports that are available out of the box regarding proposal information, inspections, insurance, any lease liabilities, all of that information we can do reporting for, so you can see and track all of that information. Just being conscious of time, the last thing we want to cover off is having a look at the reporting. So we've gone through a very sort of quick process today, talking about bringing some inventory in and selling those items out, and along the way capturing some key information. So we want to look at how that pulls through into the reporting. So again, NetSuite comes out of the box with a whole stack of kind of reports. And we always start at the financial reports. So the first report I want to go in and have a look at is our profit and loss statement. So here I'm looking at the P&L statement for our company, and we're looking at a time period from January 2020 to August 2023. Pulling through our report. Again, I can hover and drill on anything. I can click down to delve into this particular line. But what I want to do is show a little bit about the power of the reporting. So as I mentioned, I'm looking at different time periods. I can come down and I can say, look, I actually want to show that in a yearly view. So it's going to show me every year what my financial year's tracking for my profit and loss statement. I can also come in and say, actually, show me this across those different locations for the same time period. So we can now see the P&L report across those different locations. Or we might want to say, show us this against different classes or product categories. So we can now see the same report segmented out into all of those different layers. If you are running, NetSuite also has the power to run multi-subsidiary, so you can run multiple companies within the one database or the one instance. So we could split those out to look at different subsidiaries as well. So I might want to look at the subsidiary view. So again, I can split those out and to look at those different subsidiaries, or I could look at it by class for a specific subsidiary. So you can start to use a combination of those different contexts. So if we go back and have a look, the other point to note is this is available in this level of configuration across all of the reports that NetSuite has. And we can export these reports into Excel, into PDF, into Word. I could also email this particular report out to someone, or I could schedule it to email out on a select time period. It might be every month you want a specific report to email out to someone. You can set that up and schedule it, and it will automatically be sent. So let's go and have a look at some of the other reports. So we can see here that, for example, under purchases, we've got lots of different purchase reports. We've got different payables reports, inventory reports that you can look at. I'm going to come through and have a look at some sales reports. So in particular, I'm going to come through and have a look at our sales by item. So again, the first thing you'll notice that I've got the same fields down the bottom that I can filter by. So I'm looking at our inventory items, quantity sold, and total revenue received. I'm actually going to come through and I'm going to customize this report because I'm going to remove the item description, and I actually want to add in our customer. So I want to know a little bit more information about this report. So I'm going to come in and add my customer and all my fields that I can add for my customer, but I actually just want to find my customer's name. And I'm going to move things around a little bit. So I'm going to move my customer over here, and I'm going to group some of those items. I can also choose to save this report. And I'm now going to save my report now that I've customized that. So I can see here my customer Canes Grains, the items that they have purchased and the quantity sold. But now I've split this out by different time periods. I'm actually going to come through and I want to look at that by year. So now I can look at that same report by customer, by quantity sold, and revenue by year. Or I might want to come along and look at that by product class. So we can see the product classes that these items are in and whether our customers are looking at purchasing in other product classes. And again, all of these reports can be exported and sent through. So the power of the reporting is incredibly strong, and there are also different types of reports that you can do in terms of looking at analytics, where you can do pivots and joining multiple tables together. But I've just sort of shown you the basic reports today. I think that brings us to the end of our time limit. Joel, are there any questions or anything that you want to cover?
Yeah, so we did have a question that came through just when we were on the dashboards earlier on, and that was, can we see all the same dashboards out in the field on the mobile application as we can see on the desktop app?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is a mobile app available for both Android and iOS. The dashboards that you will have on that app are different, purely because you're looking at it from an application perspective. It won't be, if you're looking at it Obviously on a web page, it's going to look like this, but a mobile application will look very different. You can create a dashboard for that mobile app, but it is a very sort of cut down version and not as shiny as the web browser dashboard.
Yeah, and I think we could also say from that perspective, if you absolutely needed to see the same dashboards on your mobile, you can log in via your web browser, but then obviously you're going to be dealing with screen real estate there. But you can log into your desktop version of NetSuite from your mobile if you don't go via the application. It just becomes a little bit more difficult to render those pages on a small screen.
Correct.
And that may be all the questions that have come through so far.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you very much, everyone, for taking the time to join us. As always, if there are any further questions in relation to anything that we have covered, please don't hesitate to get in contact with us. And once again, thanks everyone, and we look forward to speaking to you soon. Thanks very much.